Welcome to Subramani. Long, long ago, it was in the month of June that a man went and told his counterparts, sorry, not his counterparts, his juniors, that the English are not very great soldiers, the general is not very great, so we will finish the war by mid-afternoon, by lunchtime, right? I'll come back for lunch, kind of a thing. Obviously, you would have guessed who it is. It is Napoleon. And the location is the very famous word Waterloo. And so whenever somebody great slips, we say that he met his Waterloo here, right? So it became such an important phrase. Now, shift a few hundred years ago, and or 100 years later rather, 1983 June, what do you think Clive Lloyd would have told his men? India in the final, guys, we couldn't have asked for anything better. Order the champagne. In fact, they had the champagne in their rooms. Would Clive Lloyd ever have thought that he would lose to India? Definitely no. Not before the start of the match, not at the middle of the match when India was all out for 183 runs. 183 runs by then was the highest score ever scored. And there was one Clive Lloyd, or rather one Vivian Richards, who was capable of scoring that, right? So they didn't really they wouldn't have worried that this is not a score to worry about. Indian bowling, Mohinder Amarnath and Kapil Dev and Madan Lal and Roger Binny, you don't have to worry, right? Why this happens, why this happened to Bonaparte, Napoleon Bonaparte, and to Clive Lloyd is the same thing. Tremendous success. Wherever you go, you meet success, right? So you think, I can't meet failure, and I can't meet failure with somebody like India, right? Think of it from Clive Lloyd's point of view. You have thrashed Australia, you have thrashed England, you have thrashed everybody else in the world, and India is such a lowly country. In 1983, nobody except a few people, including Kapil Dev, gave India a chance. The skeptics like Gavaskar and Shrikant did not give India a chance. They were just there accidentally in England playing, hoping to play 2-3 matches and then going away for a vacation. But they actually went and won. This is not so much about winning, but it is about hubris, right? Hubris. It is just the overconfidence that you get from continuous success. Therefore, there are companies, when they select people, they look at the CV and they look at the academic career and say, oh my God, this kid has never failed. So this kid may not be able to handle failure well. Now, to handle failure, one of the best things you can do is play a sport, because in a sport you cannot win every day. One day you win, one day you lose. So play badminton, play tennis, play some game like that. Because in running or cycling and all, there is no winning. You just run every day. But in badminton, you win, you lose. So then you are accustomed to winning and losing. Now imagine yourself as a fund manager. Imagine yourself as a Prashant Jain or a Naren. Continuous success would definitely make you arrogant to think, I can't go wrong. Keeping your wits about you, keeping yourself on the ground, realizing the role of luck in your life are all very important things. Having gratitude, these are very important things in keeping yourself grounded, to think, I got lucky with this break, I got lucky with this share, I got lucky with this sizing that I did, right? Understand that everything may not have happened because of your own brain. That is very important. Especially if you're successful, there is nobody around you telling the truth. Even if you're not successful, the problem is the people who are telling you that are not people whom you respect. I want feedback on my portfolio from a person I respect, not from some any guy looking at my portfolio. I don't put my portfolio on the net for people to come and comment. That's not my business, right? So fund managers get a feedback on their portfolio, but they would not listen. Why would a Naren want to listen to somebody who is much lesser than him? Unless he chooses that, okay, I want to create this committee of 5-6 people who will come and tell me, and that is difficult, right? You can't find people who will give you unbiased view at that level. So even for you and me, the fact that if we are reasonably successful in our portfolio management skills, and if we have picked up reasonably good shares which have done well in the past, or funds which have done well in the past, so much so that we are able to stop the game and have a look at it, even then for us to accept that we can make mistakes is not very easy. So step one in being able to be a good investor is to bring humility into the portfolio. Because equity investing is about arrogance, to think there is something which I can see in this share which the market can't see. That requires arrogance. So balancing your arrogance, balancing your knowledge, balancing your humility, right, all that has to be balanced. It's not so simple. So you are good at stock picking, you have a very good track record, you have you have a 3% return over the Sensex over a 15-year period or an 18-year period, and you think you're doing very well. You don't need to do well because you've already reached a portfolio size. That's a part. You still think you're in a race because it's a human lizard, right? The lizard in your head, which makes you feel that you have to be better than the best. You have to be better than your neighbor, brother, sister, father, mother, in-laws, whatever, brother-in-law, classmates, right? You have to be better than them. That's a lizard brain. That's a man's lizard brain working. Now, with that lizard brain, you're also a good investor. You've picked up reasonably good stocks. You've achieved all your goals. That makes you a little arrogant. And investing is an arrogant exercise to say, I can spot something in the market which the market can't. Now balance this with the fact that you will, like the West Indian captain, you think full steam ahead, don't worry, we will win. 183 is easy to make. This is what they must have spoken. And Kapil Dev must have said, look guys, we have nothing to lose. We have only 183 runs to defend. Let us defend it like to the end of our life, because this is our only chance of winning the finals, right? So attitude was very different, but you cannot blame Clive Lloyd for thinking like that, because that is what history has taught you. History has taught you that you are a good stock picker. Why would you think you will go wrong today, right? I mean, we plan for so many things. I plan for next 20 years, not knowing whether I'll be alive after shooting this video or during shooting this video, right? So we have to deal with certainties and uncertainties. We have to make sure that we take a 20-year view on the portfolio. In fact, there's one leading investor whose assistant tells me, my boss can take a 20-year view on his portfolio and a 2-week view on his health. He eats absolutely nonsensical stuff, smokes, drinks, does everything. He's overweight, he has a lot of health problems, but he would still invest his time in equities and making his money grow rather than invest his time in health. So we get our priorities wrong. Forget everything else. If you don't live, for what are you compounding, right? But okay, let us say you have 500 crores and your requirement is nowhere near that. Or even you have 50 crores and your requirement totally will be 5 lakhs per year for the next 5 years. So you need maybe 30, 40, 50 lakhs, maybe 1 crore. But what are you going to do with the excess? But you still put your money there and not on your health, right? So get your priorities right, get your humility right, because create a group which will tell you what you're doing is wrong. Create a friend, somebody to whom you can sound out your portfolio and he'll tell you this is shit. You bought this nonsense. This company was doing well. It was a multi-bagger from this period to this period. But after that 3 years have passed when this hasn't given no return, and you're still stuck with your past mindset saying it's a great company. Now you're fooling yourself saying it's a great company because it is giving you dividend yield. But realize as the dividend is increasing and the dividend yield is also increasing, it means there is no appreciation in the share price, right? That's another way to look at a share. So getting somebody to do a portfolio review, somebody whom you like and trust and respect and for which you are willing to pay a fee, is a great way of keeping hubris away and keep bringing in I have done videos on this saying that why humility is very important for you as a fund manager, or for me as a fund manager myself, because ultimately I manage my money. It is very important to keep yourself grounded, and for that, if you have gratitude, it helps. And that's it. Thank you.